some of the men in my neighborhood would break in the middle of the night, torture me, do dumb shit. And I have this uncanny ability to not have a meltdown right away. So the thing with autism is they teach you bottle it up, save it. If you try to avoid it at all costs. So I did that the first time. Like, we got to start documenting this. And then I noticed, like, the people who do those, and you think, like, doing those things, they did those things on purpose. I'd have issues and scream at my wife. And then the men who did the torturing and the abuse to cause the problems with my wife showed up to help me and my wife fix our problems. So I had to learn, you know, because I realized, okay, they came in the middle of the night, or they showed up when my wife's at work, they caused fucking problems, and now they're here pretending to be good guys to my wife. Like, I fucking watched it unfold. I let kids, like, I'm like, watch this shit. I'm like, is this real? Like, if you were a kid in my neighborhood, I'd be like, I like, you know, you watch my posts of Bruce Lee and Batman, you're a 12-year-old kid. I'm like, I don't know if this is real, bro. And I need somebody to trust. I can't, I got hit in the head. And a 12-year-old boy, like, was like, yeah, okay. I'm like, I don't know who to trust. People are coming into my house. I don't know what the fuck is going on. And a kid went, the people coming in doing the torturing are the ones showing up to pretend to help your wife. They cause the problems, and then they show up to save your wife.
Yeah, gaslighting and Stockholm syndrome.
So at that point, I had to go, okay, they're always going to do this so that they can show up to gaslight other adults, my wife, and things like that. They're good people. How do I avoid it? So I had to study, like, how do I avoid this shit? Like, I got PTSD, yada, yada, yada. What's an environmental trigger? There's something in your environment that triggers you. So I just go, what were my environmental triggers? When I do those things, what is triggering it? Right? Because I can look back after the fact, go, what caused the problem? And if I identify what caused the problem, then I can speak about it before it becomes a problem next time. So like, say, I don't know how to explain it.
I see what you mean, though.
I don't know how to explain it.
It's almost like you cut out the middlemen who are pretending to come and help you by nipping the problem in the butt initially.
Well, yeah. So you figure, like, I had to go, okay, what am I why I'm screaming? I know I have PTSD. So you had to figure, what are these environmental triggers? What am I doing? What is my wife doing causing me to have these freakouts? So like a real life situation, I'm not allowed to have my towel a certain way. The towels have to be, we both have autism. So our towels and our shoes have to be a certain way, yada, yada, yada. So I'm okay. I'm literally thinking environmental triggers. And I remember me and my wife, I'm screaming because she moves the shoes around. Like, I like my shoes on one side. She likes her shoes in a certain way. Like, I'm in order, yada, yada, yada. There's a freak out. Leave my side of the shoes alone. Right?
Yeah.
Right. I have autism. You leave my shoes, I'll leave your shoes alone. And I'm sitting here. I was eating raw chicken, and some guy was telling my wife, because they didn't think I'd remember, you need to remove those shoes around no matter how pissed your husband gets.
So that we can come back.
No. Because you can't allow him to think he has control over you while he's disabled. Because when he gets better, he will treat you like a slave. He will dominate you. He will control you. He will abuse you. So what we need you to do is, every time he wants his shoes a certain way like that, you change it. You don't let him win. And my wife would do that. She's like, move the fucking shoes. And I would lose it. And then I just remember, like, I remember the guy telling her, you need to fucking do that because it's going to piss him off. And when it pisses him off, that's your chance to establish dominance over your husband. You don't want him to be doing those things while he's disabled. And then when he gets better, he treats you like, you know, some Muslim woman, or, you know what I mean?
So
Not to be rude. Not to be rude.
No, but culturally and historically, yeah.
Yeah,
but,
you know, you don't want him to treat you like some Muslim woman who can't uncover their face and do this, like they're telling her.
Yeah, so it's almost like they're trying to tell her, like, while you're repairing yourself, wiring your brain a certain way, right. Wiring those neurons.
I'm like here eating chicken, you know, raw chicken, and the guy's telling my wife, don't ever let your husband have the shoes the way he wants them. because you're slowly wiring his brain to be dominant over you, dominate you. Can you hear me? Let me finish that story. I came down, and she's moving the shoes around, and I just remember that phrase. Somebody telling her, "Move the fucking shoes. It'll piss." Like, you can't let him do that. You can't let him do that. Then I start paying attention to everything, and like my habits from autism. They literally tell her everything that they knew would cause a meltdown for her to do. And I just remembered I need to start not worrying about my shoes so much. I got to stop worrying about my shoes so much. Talk about wizards? No.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, so what would you say your autism spectrum is?
It's just autism spectrum.
Yeah, is it like are you higher on the spectrum, or would you be like mild?
Do you know what autism is?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so I'm speaking to you, correct? And I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just confused with the question. So if I'm speaking to you and I'm articulating clearly, then I'm high functioning.
Right.
If I couldn't speak to you, then I'd be low functioning, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
What would
So
you
you
say
already know.
the lower spectrum would be?
It's just non-speaking. And this is what's interesting. So you're asking about autism. Just because you're non-speaking doesn't mean you're less intelligent. There's people who don't speak with the autism spectrum disorder that are 1,000 times smarter than me, which is fascinating.
Right. Yeah. Where would you put yourself at? Would you think you're intelligent?
No. I'm diagnosed with savant syndrome. So, I'm diagnosed as being smarter than 99.999% of the population. But
yeah,
I look at that and go, I don't think that's real. Like, what the heck? Like, what's going on? Like, how do people not know these things? Like, it's basic.
yeah.
Now, I start questioning. Like, okay, I'm diagnosed with savant syndrome, being smarter than 99% of the population. And you think about it, I'm diagnosed as being smarter than most college professors, most high school teachers, most scientists, most doctors. I'm diagnosed as being smarter in cardiology than a cardiologist, in neuroscience than a neuroscientist, in religion than religion's leaders. I have savant syndrome. So then I start asking myself, is it that I'm smarter, or is it that did my autism require me to learn things that we no longer teach other people?
Right. I see what you're saying.
Now, is it that am I smarter than 99.999% of the population, or have taught things because of my autism we don't teach anybody else?
When
and
you
because I taught something you weren't taught, does that make me smarter than you? No, it just means I had an opportunity that you didn't have. And if it's given to you, you will display the same intelligence.
When you said about the shoe situation with your wife, did that have to do with your autism or with something else?
No, my autism.
My brother, he's autistic, and how he is like he would make a line of his cars, and if someone of his toy cars, and if someone were to get mess up his line of cars, he would get mad. And that's what it reminded me of when you said about the
so
shoes.
now imagine me showing up to your life telling you every time your brother does that, you need to ruin that line of cars, because we don't want your brother growing up thinking that he has dominance over you. I'm taking your lack of education in autism and creating family problems and problems in your family dynamics. I'm telling you to do something that I know is going to piss off your brother, so that when your brother gets pissed off, I can show up to help you.
Right. I see
Well,
what you're saying.
that's pretty fucked up of me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about, literally, there's military men in my life that show up to help me and my wife, and what they do is tell her, your husband's autism, shoes like this, don't fucking let him do it. And I look at that like, I've spent years and years of my life trying to stop doing things of my autism simply because somebody told my wife not to allow me to do that shit because they knew I'd have a meltdown or get upset and we'd fight because of my autism, and that they would use her lack of education in autism to pretend to help her.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Like, I mean, and I said, I'd ask children, is this real? And they're like, yeah, the guy in the fucking look at I have kids go, yeah, the military told your wife about those shoes, and then you had a freak out, and then they showed up to help her deal with you and your freak out.
What'd you ever do about the shoes? So you just stopped, you just got used to it?
Well, I start putting stuff, so I have I put a pink mat under my bed, or not under my bed, under my house. I put things in different places, so I replaced it with something else. I have something somewhere else in a different way that nobody can change. Does that make sense? I'm still lining something up. It's just not my shoes.
Yeah.
And whatever I'm lining up is not something somebody can change.
Does that have to do with OCD too, or is it just autism?
It's literally autism, right? So I want you to think about this. Break that down. Things in the same spot, lining things up. How did you learn how to tie your shoes?
By self-taught.
And over till you understood it, right?
Right.
And now that you tie your shoes, you can talk to your mom about your homework, your keys, play a video game. You can do all kinds of shit while you tie your shoes because you don't even think about it anymore, right?
Yeah.
In autism, we have that ingrained in us. If we do so, we line things up, right? It crosses over. I won't have to think about other things. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, you're naturally connecting dots, trying to line things up, make things connect. Yeah. And it's literally just putting things in a pattern. There's no dots to connect. I'll make my own dots to connect. Like your brother, there's no dots to connect. I'll line the cars up and make my own dots to connect.
Okay, I see what you mean. So you do little things. Like with certain things, you like it to have it your way.
But not my way. Just I have things like my wife. She's like, oh, your little area is such a mess. Like my table is moved around right now. I used to play on this table that I'm talking to you on. Everything's moved and changed because my wife wanted it moved and changed. Previously in my sequence, I threw an absolute fit about moving and changing things around.
Yeah, I see.
Now I just like, I know if I throw a fit about it, the same bad men are going to show up pretending to fucking help, and I'm going to have a long period of time where I don't remember shit.
You said earlier that when something didn't go your way, you would have like a breakdown and you would freak out. Have you had any of those recently or no?
It's not my way. It's just things like, So, me and my wife plan to go places and things. I plan things like, so my wife thinks things are very random. Right. Yeah. And, like everything just happens. So like Thanksgiving, we made a turkey on Thanksgiving. She's like, I want to eat early. I'm like, well, we're probably going to eat around, 4:30, 5 o'clock, yada, yada, yada. And, I'm going, like, I know, like, I pay attention to my wife. I know what time she's going to get up. I know how long she's going to read her Bible. I know how long she's going to go to the bathroom. I know everything she's going to do. I set a timer for our turkey to be done. And I said, what time do you want to start cooking? She's like, oh, hopefully 10. I'm like, I want to cook at 9. But before, right, I set the timer before we even started. And at around, 10 or so or whatever, she decides to, we're gonna start and do our things. And the turkey timer went off. The thermometer in the turkey went off the exact time I set the timer off. I knew exactly when the turkey was going to be done before we even threw the turkey in the oven.
I see what you're saying. That's crazy.
Now, I do those things, right? So say I did that, and then all of a sudden, her mom calls and asks if we can go get butter and at the store and bring her butter. Well, my whole fucking schedule's off. Now when my timer goes off, the turkey timer's not going to go off. My whole schedule's thrown in a whack. Nothing's going to go my way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like my wife, like the alarm went off. She's like, she was like, I can't believe you set an alarm for the turkey to go off. You knew when the turkey was going to be done before we even decided to put it in or put it in. I'm like, well, we knew, right? We already had the social structures, the creatures of habit, those sequences of events of how we do things.
Right.
Right? We knew ahead of time. We just never actually paid attention to how we decide when we're going to do things. So I stopped. How do me and my wife decide when we're actually going to throw our turkey in? This is how we decide. Right? And when that moment hits, because of all these other things we do, it'll be 5 hours for the turkey to be done. So if, right, she gets up and reads her Bible and it's normally in the car and I got to go get it, I can have it out today so she can have her Bible to read in her room. Save myself 5 minutes. Save herself 5 minutes of thinking to get me to get the Bible. That's 10 minutes. I do those things. Everything's lined up.
I see what you're saying. Does your wife have those breakdowns too?
Yeah, but it's very hard for people to. This is interesting when it comes to men and women on autism spectrum disorder. Women are highly underdiagnosed.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't know what other explain that they're quiet already. You expect them when they're like, oh, you're meek, you're quiet. Oh, it's just you're following into the normal female roles of the social structure. You don't speak up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, the social structures that we create for women to exist in, unfortunately, mask autistic traits that would be visible, highly visible, if we didn't make those social structures.
I see what you're saying.
But my wife does. My wife does have meltdowns, and the nice thing about my wife's though is hers are few and far, very rare, very rare.
So that is yours are more common than hers.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
but my wife has a phrase she can utter to put me in one.
What's the phrase?
It doesn't matter.
You're right.
But I do ask. I'm like, because of my autism and the things I've done in my life, it's documented in my background check. If my wife says something, it's not good. And I think about like my neighbors and putting their wives and their daughters and their family in situations, hoping my wife would utter that phrase. It's just absolutely fucking crazy.
Yeah. I saw a video on YouTube. It was like your waterboarding Ernie videos. Whatever happened to those?
They're still up there. They're just videos.
Okay. I just was wondering about those.
Yeah, they're just videos. But I mean, yeah, I think of how interesting the world is. So I talk about when I moved into this house, I was part of a group of people who documented how men gaslight, Stockholm syndrome, rape, and torture, do shit, just do dumb shit. Right before I moved into this house, I was part of a group of people.
Right.
And I get a moment of clarity every once in a while, and I